Hi guys, just FPL here, welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'll be talking you guys through my GW34 team selection, transfer plans, and how did I do in GW33. So let's jump into it. So in GW33, I scored a total of 75 points. Now, it was a successful game week, at the start I think on Saturday after those games, I did finish with only 16 points below the average, but then it just turned around when Salah got those massive points, when Bukayo Saka scored those points. So the two main talking points in my team are Bukayo Saka and Salah, high scoring players, the two most high scoring, and Willock as well. Willock picking up an assist. He didn't start the game against the first game against Leicester, but he did come on and played 21 minutes and did pick up an assist. And then the game against Crystal Palace, he didn't start as well, and he did get some minutes. So one thing to look out for, but my plans are to sell him the week after the week in Game Week 35. So it's really happy he got 5 points. It was slightly I did gain some rank of that. Shah, a brilliant transfer. I think a really successful one. 9 points they picked up. They didn't pick up the clean sheet against Leicester, but they did pick it up against Crystal Palace and we could see that the Newcastle's defense are improving. But Matt Target, Dan Burn scoring higher points than him, 10 points and 11 points because Shah did only pick up 1 bonus point, while Matt Target and Burn did pick up more bonus points. So I still call it a really successful transfer because his ownership is quite low. And then Ben White there, 2 points. Now Arsenal's defense are just, I can say, quite bad, to be fair, because they had 2 games against Southampton and Chelsea, conceded 3 goals in both. They conceded against Southampton and they conceded 2 goals to Chelsea. So I think the defense, without Tierney, without Tomiyasu, without Partey, it is starting to show their weaknesses, and I think a lot of teams in the upcoming week will take advantage of that. So one thing to look out is where the Arsenal's defense looking to sell Ben White. I'll talk about that later. Reece James, he did play the game, but of course Chelsea did concede 4 goals with and Ketia playing like he played well, because when Lacazette, Arsenal didn't play Lacazette, but still Chelsea's defense, they did rotate in that defense. Balanced coming in, Reece James playing at right centre back, which is shocking, and then Rudiger, he was on my bench. I did make a last minute decision to play James over Rudiger, and I think it didn't really turn out that successful. Rudiger, his injury did show a lot in that Chelsea's defense to prove that Rudiger was really crucial in that Chelsea's defense, and it's starting to show how important Rudiger of a player is. Now he did pick up a groin injury, so he will. Thomas Tuchel did talk about him, saying that he won't be available for that West Ham game. Before the Arsenal game, I believe he did say he could be able to push for that West Ham game, but still, after the game, Thomas Tuchel did say that he wasn't available and he will look to play the next game, the second fixture against United. So he is out for that West Ham game. It's confirmed. You can go Google it up for the source. I did went on Fantasy Football Hub to see it. So Rudiger is out, and I think that that Chelsea's defense, they did rotate heavily, as I said, and I think that they don't really they're not in Europe, so I don't know why, but I think of course their players are tired. They play a backline of Christensen, Sarr, Alonso, Azpilicueta and James. Now I think one thing that James is playing at right centre back and not Azpilicueta is because James doesn't have the stamina, and we've seen it before. If he plays at that right big wing back slot, he will be such a good player, but he's not playing at that place, and I think right centre back is the only way for Chelsea to get more minutes out of Reece James. So if they want to get minutes out of him, they will play as right centre back, meaning that he will be less attacking and he will be less of a goal threat. So 6.3, still a big talking point. If I want to free up money, I will look to James, as there's better options around his price. Lampard, these kind of players I think I could look for. So yeah, this is the team. Mateta there, small. He didn't start the game, as Eduardo did get a run in the game, but he did come off and pick up 1 point. He played 30 minutes, decent amount of minutes. At this point, the forwards, I just give up. Harry Kane, Spurs weren't going to go on a streak of scoring 6 goals every week, and it did show, because I did know that this is very this will happen, and Spurs, it's not every week they'll score 4 to 5 goals, and it did show in this week. Broya, 3 points, just disappointing to be fair. He did start both of the games. I did talk about him last week saying that he might get rotated because, you know, he's only on loan. And then Dumbreka, 8 points, solid performance from him. And my bench, Gordon, he did pick up a bonus point, but then Rafinha and Sarr didn't play, and they didn't have a fixture, and Rudiger didn't start the game. So let's move on to the transfer plans for game week 34. So in game week 34, I'm planning to make these transfers now. Havertz and Alonso in for Rafinha and Rudiger. Now these two players I want in is Chelsea players. Now when I was editing this video, I did only had Havertz and Rafinha out for a transfer, but then looked into more detail in that Rudiger injury, and it was confirmed that he will be out. So freeing up some space, side grading to a Marcus Alonso, I think I'm really happy with that move, because Alonso, his goal threat, he's taking shots in the box. If you watch the games, I saw his stats. I think he's, you know, comparable to Havertz and Mount, and that's insane. He's a left wing back, he's a defender, being priced at 5.5, and with Chilwell out. There's not much competition in his spot for Alonso. Yes, there are Saul could play there, but I think there's not much. I think Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek plays at right wing back, so I don't think he would not much competition in his slot more than Reece James. Now Reece James, he did have I believe Aspilicueta there, but now he's playing at right centre back. So Alonso, I think he's brilliant, and Chelsea, they don't have to rotate. They won't have to play Saul. They won't have to play Christian Pulisic. It's because they're only in one competition, and that is the Premier League and the FA Cup. 2 competition only, and the FA Cup, there's 1 game left. It's a final, so 1 game. It's in game week 36. I think it's 3 days after the Leeds game, so it's a long way from now. And I think now West Ham and United, their defense look really poor now, especially United, and if Alonso can get up the pitch, take advantage of that United's defense, I could see Chelsea winning that game 3 to 4 goals. That West Ham game, you know, at some point this season we did see West Ham conceding a lot of goals, so it is not the best defense, and of course their priority now is the European League. So if they are going to rotate, it is going to be the Premier League, and as we can see in the past few results, they don't really care much about the Premier League, and I think their main focus is the European League. With Barcelona exiting that, they do show a real chance. So now let's talk about Havertz. Now Havertz, I will talk about why I picked Havertz over Mount later after this transfer page. So Havertz, I think 7.9, low ownership. I think he's a really good player to own. I think, you know, Mason Mount's ownership has gone up, and I did say, you know, on Twitter, I did tweet that saying time to get my double game week captain back, but still, Mason Mount is my boy. I really appreciate what he got me in that double game week a few weeks ago, but still now it's time to move on. I was showing, you know, some favorites, and I did want to go for Mason Mount because I favor him, but still it is FPL, and you have to make decisions that might not be the best. So Rafinha, he's taking him out, Crystal Palace away, and after that game, I believe they do play a tough run, I think, against Manchester City, and then in the double game week, it is still some tough games, so I just don't think, I think it's time to sell him, the right time to sell him, with midfielders, you know, shining like Phil Foden, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, these kind of midfielders to go to. I think it's a real time now to take him out. And Rudiger, I did talk about him just now. His injury is confirmed, and he will miss that West Ham game. And if he wants to play that United game, he will have to push for that United game. So a good time to sell him, get some money out of my defense, bring him along. So let's talk about the comparison between Kai Havertz and Mason Mount. So now I'm comparing these two players, Kai Havertz and Mason Mount. Now the minutes, as you can see, it favors in Mason Mount, and most of these stats favor in Mason Mount's order. So let's say minutes, Mason Mount has played more minutes this season. Now it's not the Champions League. I didn't collect the data from Champions League and Premier League. I just took it from the Premier League. Goals, 10 goals for Mason Mount, 7 goals for Kai Havertz. But remember, at the start of the season, Kai Havertz weren't starting regularly, and Mason Mount was starting more often than Kai Havertz in the start of the season. Take note of that. Assist wise, of course, it favors Mason Mount. 10 assists, 2 assists for Kai Havertz. But just take note, Mason Mount, his expected goals and assists, he is overachieving in those categories. So take note that some of those goals were not lucky, but it was good goals. But still, I think it did come at a time when they did play slightly poorer opponents like Norwich and Southampton, beating them 6-0 twice against Southampton and Norwich, and they did score a lot. So Mason Mount, he's played more minutes, and I think the amount of minutes Kai Havertz has played to score 7 goals and 2 assists, I think it's phenomenal. Great stats. Then expected goals, Kai Havertz is his standard expected goals, but expected assists for both of these players, Mason Mount has overachieved again. So Mason Mount his stats look quite good, and his expected assists for Kai Havertz is quite low. Of course, Kai Havertz is playing at the striker role, the number 9 role. Werner and Mount is playing slightly out wide. So if you're gonna see chances, I'm gonna read this out that touches in the box and shots in the box, Kai Havertz win that quite. Kai Havertz has better stats than Mason Mount and quite more stats than him. So if you're looking at those, I think those are quite important as well. Touches in the box, Mason Mount has taken less touches than Kai Havertz, meaning that Kai Havertz has touched the ball more in the box, and that shows that he will be taking shots, and he's taking more shots than Mason Mount in the box, meaning that the chances of scoring is easier, and of course scoring a goal is easier in the box than outside the box. So Kai Havertz, I think his non-penalty expected goals is also higher, but Mason Mount, he did get some. I think he took some penalties early on the season, but he did miss. So Tuchel did come out and say that if Jorginho is not on the pitch, it's most likely to be Kai Havertz to be taking penalties. So Jorginho, he hasn't started in the past 3 games, so it just shows that Kai Havertz is on penalty. So the stats don't favour him, but if you're watching the games, I think the eye test favours Kai Havertz. The fixtures both are the same. They have 2 doubles in the last 5 game weeks of the season, and then Everton at home, Leicester at home, and Watford at home. And the Everton game is away. It's a little mistake. So even though if that's away, it's still a great fixture. And Leicester, Watford, their defense has been really poor, especially Leicester. So Chelsea's fixture, one of the best coming in the end of season. Let's jump into the team selection. So starting off in goal here with Dumbraka. Now Dumbraka, 4.5 mil goalkeeper. I think it's an absolute bargain to own him still. Newcastle's defense have improved a lot in the past few weeks, but under Eddie Howe. Norwich away. Now Norwich did score 2 goals against United, but remember that United's defense is terrible, and I think that I'm not saying that Norwich defense is attack is bad, but they are most likely to get regulated, and I think they will not show as much as a fight. Of course, there is a chance for them to survive, but I think Newcastle, they are improving, and they want to finish quite high in the table as shown. They are going up the table quite high and quite fastly. And Dumbraka, their defense is improving. Newcastle, I just think that it's a good fixture, and I think I should be starting him over Saah, who is on my bench against Burnley. Moving on to the defenders, and firstly, Reece James. I still own him. I bought him in for 31. Do I regret it? I do, because if I were to know that he will be playing at right centre back, I won't go for him. Because look at the price, 6.3. It's a lot of money. I could just go up to a Cancelo, a Lampard, a Ruben Dias, but now I'm stuck with him because I don't want to waste a transfer on Reece James. He's a good player. I would want to make a transfer on players who have bad fixtures or are not playing. And Reece James is playing, their fixtures look quite good, and I don't want to be wasting a transfer on him. So I'm going to be keeping him. If I were to go back in the past Game Week 31 and not make that transfer, it would be really good. But I have him, it is what it is. Maybe, Tuchel, he did say that he doesn't have the stamina to play as a right wing back. But James, he could switch to a right wing back. I think he did switch to the right wing back slot against the Arsenal game, and to be fair, they were chasing 2 goals, so not much to expect there. But if he were to play right wing back, I don't mind. Like, one game against West Ham, he plays right wing back and he just gets benched against the United game. We could see that, but still, right centre back, the Chelsea's defense looking quite solid, so I ain't complaining. And to have a Chelsea defender, I will be happy, especially they are doubling this week. Next is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I think there's not much to say about it. He's a must own. He's a phenomenal player. The fixtures for Liverpool look quite good with a double in 36 as well. So Everton this week, Everton look poor. You know, they were playing against Leicester, I believe. Yeah, Leicester, and they were 1-0 down the whole game. Their attack just looked really bad. Richarlison couldn't finish, but then luckily, last few minutes of the game, Richarlison goes on and score. Now the attack looks really bad, but there were a couple of chances for Richarlison to score, but that shows that finishing in the Everton side is really poor. So I think that Liverpool could keep a clean sheet here. Would they get rotated? I don't think so. Trent just looks solid, and there's not much players who could rotate with Trent in that right back position, so not much talk about him. He's a solid option, and if you don't have him, go for him. Next year's Marcus Alonso, the new signing. Now, take note that these transfers are not locked in, so Marcus Alonso, it's most likely that I will get him. You know, Rudiger, he's confirmed out for the West Ham game, and I think even though if a single game week against United, I won't be starting him. So just because of a double game week, I would start Rudiger. So now side grading to a win back, I'm really comfortable and happy I got Alonso. Now I'm taking a -4 for this transfer. So -4 taken for Alonso, and if you take into consideration that they are playing 4 matches, I bought in Havertz and Alonso, both doubling. If they get Alonso and Havertz get at least play both of those games, they will get 8 points. So then they will have chance to, you know, attacking returns, clean sheets. So that's my logic about those -4s. I think the -4 is reasonable to make if it's bringing in a good player, but the -8 is just far from my reach. So Alonso, he's playing really attacking, and we know that, you know, past few seasons, he is those players to score 15 pointers, 19 pointers. He's used to that, and even though early on this season he did get those big hauls, you know, 19 points against Southampton. I think in game week 1 he got 15 points against Crystal Palace, so he's capable of doing that like a Reece James. So I'm very happy to own him. 8.5% ownership as well. If he hauls, it will be a great green arrow for me. And lastly is Fabian's share. Now, Norwich away, I did talk about it. Norwich, they are quite poor, and Newcastle have improved defensively. 4.4 mil defender. Shah, he's taking random shots, and I think he did have a chance against Leicester, because I did watch the game, and I think that he was close to scoring up and picking up assists. So I think Shah, he's still a brilliant option to own. 4.4, a budget defender, 6.1% ownership. If he gets the clean sheet, also another green arrow. Moving on to the midfield here, starting off Mohamed Salah. Now, I think the two must-own players in your team is Trent and Salah. Salah, it just shows that he is really good, a really, really, really good player. 19 points against United. I can't believe that last week some people were considering to sell Salah, and I think it was mental to sell Salah. So now it just shows you guys Salah is the one to keep. Keep Salah. He is phenomenal, and I think he should be 100% owned by the whole game. I just don't understand why he's 57.6% ownership. But however, Everton at home, I did talk about, it's a derby. I think the Merseyside derby. But I feel like it's not really as hyped up as the last few seasons, because Everton's been poor. Liverpool just look on paper, they are going to win this 3-4-0. So I think Salah could get some couple of attacking returns in this game. Next is Bukayo Saka. United at home. United, I did talk about them. Their defense is really, really poor. Saka, a single game week, I think I could expect a lot from him. Now, without Lacazette on the pitch, it is seen to be said that Saka is taking penalties, and that's really good, positive news for us Saka owners. So I think he's a really good player I have to have in my team, and I don't look to sell him in the upcoming weeks. Next year is Willock. Now 1.4% ownership. I just please just get a start Willock. He's not starting because I think Al Maroon is starting, and Al Maroon is playing really well. So I just don't see him starting this game, but still he could come on and pick up a cheeky assist and goal. So I'm starting him because he's quite lone owned, and if he hauls, it will be a really, really good game for me. Willock, he is not the Willock like last season. At the end of the season, you know, scoring every game. But still, he is looking quite good when he plays. So I think I will be keeping him for 5.6. You don't find much good midfielders around that price apart from Martinelli. Lastly is Kai Havertz, the new signing. I think Kai Havertz is really solid, and I think that I do favor him over Mount, because if you watch the games, the eye test, he is winning in that. The stats, of course, it doesn't favor Havertz, but those stats are overall in the season. If you take stats from the past 4 game weeks, it just shows that Kai Havertz is the more consistent one. But Kai Havertz, he's more of the consistent player, consistent FPL option. But Mason Mount, in this season, he showed that one game he scores 3 points, he goes on to run 2-3 points, and suddenly it's a 18-point haul. He's used to that, so please just don't hurt my rank, Mason Mount. Havertz, he's a differential. Not only that, because his stats, I do prefer stats over. I do prefer stats and the eye test. So the eye test, Havertz has passed the eye test, and the stats also slightly favor the more important stats favor in Kai Havertz's way. Moving on to the forwards line, my second premium, Harry Kane. Now, I was considering to sell him, but not this week. But I feel like Spurs, they will bounce back. They are in the top 4 race with United dropping points. I think that Spurs and Arsenal are in the race for top 4, and they will have to win every game. Brentford, not the easiest team to play, but of course their defense have been quite shaky in the past few weeks. So Harry Kane, he's still a good option, and no plans to sell him this week. Lastly is Mateta. Now, I did start him over Broja. Now, Broja, why I started him over Broja? Southampton's defense are just poor, genuinely poor. Couldn't even score against a managerless Burnley side. Burnley didn't have a manager. They had, I think, Michael Jackson and Ben Mee as their manager. So even though Southampton are playing a no manager Burnley, they can't score against Burnley. It's mental. So I just don't think that Broja will start against Mateta, and I think Mateta. I think I didn't watch the Crystal Palace game, but I don't know. But if Eduardo played poorly, why would he be taken off? So in that sense, I think Eduardo would play quite poorly, and I think that Mateta came on. Also that Crystal Palace was chasing a goal, so Mateta could come on. But I just think that Mateta is more nailed on than is not more nailed on than Broja. I think Broja is more nailed on, but Mateta, he's more attacking threat than Broja, and Crystal Palace look like the better side to score a goal. Moving on to the benches, Jose Sa first in the goalkeeper slot. Now, Burnley away, not the easiest team, although they don't have a manager, but it just shows that they are capable of scoring in the regulation battle. They would want to take every chance to win. And I think in quite a poor Wolves side, I think that Burnley could put up a fight against Wolves, and especially away in the Burnley Stadium, it will be a tough atmosphere. So I think that I favor Dumbreka over Sarr. The team Norwich, their attack is still the worst in the league. So using the data, I will be starting Dumbreka over Sarr. First on my bench is Broja. I did talk about him. He is more nailed on. So even though he's picking up 2 pointers, he will be first on my bench, as he is still a striker and he still has a chance of scoring. I'm tired of saying every week that he's a striker and he's gonna score points. He have a good chance, because the strikers this season are just a troll. They can't score a goal. So let's say worst case scenario, Willock or Shar or my single game weekers doesn't start, he will be coming on. So not much to talk about him. I'm just really disappointing in the forwards. Second on my bench is Ben White. The Arsenal's defense has fallen apart, and I think that United could get something out of the game. So I just don't think I will be starting Ben White, and 4.5 mil, a good cheap player to bench. Then lastly is Anthony Gordon. That Liverpool game, Liverpool's defense are solid, and I just don't see Everton getting anything out of the game. So that wraps up my team. Let's move on to captains real quick. Kai Havertz, my captain. I think that it was a close call. I could go for Alonso captain. That's a huge risk to take, but I will be considering that. Mohamed Salah gets my wife's vice captain. I just think that the Everton game, I could see Salah outscoring a double game week player like Kai Havertz. So a lot to consider. I might be live streaming, but of course I will be posting my final team on Twitter every week. So go follow me there. It's been me, Jess FPL. I'll see you guys in the next one.